Let me tell you guys about the time I accidentally interviewed North Korean hackers. And no, I don't mean hackers from North Korea, I mean actual operatives working for the North Korean government, like Kim Jong-un's squad level hackers. I will take a step back and loop you guys in from the beginning. So for context, I'm the founder and CEO of a crypto startup, and back in 2022, we were crushing it. The kind of crushing it where your platform is trending on Twitter, hundreds of thousands are on the waitlist, and investors are throwing money at you like you're some kind of DeFi messiah. But here's the catch. When a startup grows that fast, everything else falls apart. Like our hiring process, completely gone. I was desperate for engineers, we were drowning in thousands of applications a month, and I had about as much time to vet them as you'd spend deciding what to order at Starbucks. If the resume looked decent, I hit schedule interview, boom, next. I ended up interviewing over 250 people in just 3 weeks. And that's not even an exaggeration. It was like speed dating, but instead of asking about their favorite movies, I was asking if they knew Solidity, which is the primary programming language to develop apps on Ethereum. And of course, I didn't realize that buried in that pile of resumes were some state-sponsored bad actors. One day, I get a resume from this guy named Joseph Scott. Now, Joseph Scott doesn't just sound like a normal Western name, it sounds like the kind of name you would give if you were trying really hard to sound American. But hey, I'm busy, I'm desperate, and the resume honestly looks amazing. Former engineering director at Citibank, a computer science degree from the University of Toronto, now based in Arizona, he checks all the boxes. So I'm thinking, this guy sounds perfect for our team. I scheduled the interview, and when Joseph logs onto the Google Meets, let's just say the vibes are off immediately. First of all, Joseph Scott, our Arizona-based engineering guru, turns out to be Asian, which is totally fine, obviously. But then he opens his mouth, and his English is so heavily accented that I'm pretty sure he learned it last week. Also completely fine, of course. But it's not just his accent, it's what's behind the accent. Guys, the background noise was insane. It sounded like he was calling in from a scam call center. Dozens of voices speaking rapid-fire Korean, keyboards clacking so loudly it could have been the final scene of Whiplash. And at one point, I think I even heard a dot matrix printer turning on paper. Like, who even owns these anymore? But I keep it professional. I ask, hey Joseph, good to meet you. Where'd you say you're based again? And he says Arizona. And I glance at his background, which looks suspiciously not like anything you would see in America. So I ask, what part of Arizona? And he goes, Los Angeles. And I'm thinking like, bro, LA's in California. And at this point, I'm trying not to laugh, but I keep it together. And I say, Joseph, it says here that you went to the University of Toronto. What was your favorite class in college? And I kid you not, man, this legend, he stares into the abyss, into the camera for a whole 30 seconds, clearly trying to make up something to say, and finally says NFTs. And I was like, dude, NFTs weren't even invented back then when you graduated college in 2006. But still, I press on. Joseph, I ask, what kind of projects did you work on during that class? And like you would expect, he did not have an answer and gave me awkward silence. Now I'm starting to have fun with it. And I ask him, why did you leave Citibank? And this man says, they wanted me to manage the London office, but I don't speak British. I don't speak British, bro. British even isn't a language. And it's clear this guy wasn't trolling and was dead ass serious about it too. This is a level of wrong you don't stumble into by accident. It's only possible when you have zero exposure to the outside world for your entire life. But he's not done. No. Just when I think the interview couldn't get any weirder, Joseph adds, I can send you my portfolio. It is very good. You are like. I'm like, sure, send it over. So 10 minutes later, I get an email from him. The sender's name, still Joseph Scott. But the email address, it was someone else's name, followed by a string of like 10 random numbers, followed by @gmail.com. At this point, I don't know whether to laugh, to cry, or to call the FBI. And the portfolio, it was code copy-pasted from someone else's GitHub repo, and he didn't even bother changing the name. But it didn't just stop there. After the Joseph Scott fiasco, I started paying more attention to the interviews. That's when I met Michael Lee. Michael was another star candidate, former lead engineer at a well-known crypto startup, degree from Tokyo University, currently based in Austin, Texas. And his LinkedIn, it was perfect, except that he had so many random skills and certifications listed. Now Michael joins the call, and just like Joseph, he's got a heavy accent, choppy English, and that same background noise. And at this point, I'm starting to think, why does every engineer I interview sound like they're working from the same weird Korean call center? So I test him. Hey Michael, tell me about your time at Tokyo University. What was your senior project? And he freezes, blockchain. And that's it. No more details, no more explanations. And I say, okay, but what's specifically about blockchain? And he goes, just blockchain things. Blockchain things? Bro, I was interviewing a guy whose entire job pitch was blockchain things. So I politely ended the call and blocked his email. Connecting the dots. At this point, I'm suspicious. I start going back through the resumes, and the patterns are glaring. Generic Western names, LinkedIn profiles with cartoon animals or no pictures at all, and resumes that felt like they were pulled from a how-to sound impressive generator. One person claimed they worked at ETH Global, which one of my friends worked at. I asked my friend if she knew this person, and she said that she had never heard of that person ever before in her life. And like any normal human being, I decided to trace one of their IP addresses. And where does it ping back to? Take a guess. Yep, not where they claim to be from. Internally, I'm like, holy shit. I just interviewed Kim Jong-un's hacking squad. The bigger picture. Now here's the wild part. I wasn't alone. Around the same time in March 2022, North Korean hackers pulled off one of the biggest crypto heists in history. They targeted Axie Infinity, the fastest growing game in Asia. Posing as fake recruiters, they interviewed one of Axie's engineers and sent them a PDF with a job offer. That PDF had malware. Once the employee opened it, boom, they infiltrated Axie systems and stole $620 million in one day. 620 million. And there's more. In early 2024, a company called Munchables unknowingly hired 2 North Korean engineers. These guys played the long game, gaining trust and access before draining $60 million from the company and its users. Imagine explaining that to your board and investors. So about the $60 million, we accidentally hired North Korea. Luckily, we didn't hire Joseph Scott, Michael Lee, or any of their Pyongyang pals. But the experience shook me. I mean, think about it. These hackers were so convincing, they made it into so many different companies. And if I hadn't asked dumb questions like, what's your favorite class in college? They might have just gotten through. And now every time I interview someone, I can't help but grill them. What year was the iPhone invented? What's the capital of Arizona? What's your favorite blockchain thing? Tell me you hate Kim Jong-un. My trust issues are through the roof. But hey, at least I didn't contribute to North Korea's revenue. So the next time you're hiring, remember, sometimes the perfect candidate isn't just too good to be true. They might actually be a North Korean hacker in disguise. And if their favorite class was NFTs in 2006, run. And that's the story on how I accidentally became part of an international cyber espionage thriller. If you're in crypto, stay paranoid, my friends, and maybe don't schedule 250 interviews in just 3 weeks. And if you're curious about my company, stay tuned. I'll be making more storytime videos in the future.